We all have workplace productivity apps these days. Apps for meetings, apps for team chat, apps for file sharing. But do those apps even talk to each other? And what about all the unexpected projects that show up like fire drills every day? How do your apps help with that? Have you ever thought about ditching all those apps? Because you don't need 17 apps to bring it all together. You need one. You need Avaya Spaces. Spaces offers you video conferencing, but it's way more than that. With Spaces, you can meet, chat, share files and updates, assign and manage tasks, see real-time transcriptions, and keep up with everything going on. And Spaces adapts to fit your needs. It's there to help you use everything you already have and make room for something new when you need it. So, what about ditching all those other apps? Because now it's time to use just one, Avaya Spaces.
Welcome to Digital Life, the webinar, Technology for Living and Working.
In this edition, we look at digital tools for success. Today's expert panel includes Don Turner, Senior Product Manager, Avaya; Carol Robertson, Director, Government and Enterprise, C&W Business Jamaica; Ricardo Allen, CEO, One-on-One Educational Services; Trevor Forrest, CEO, 876 Technology Solutions; Maurice Barnes, CEO, VM Innovations, VMBS; Christopher Record, CEO, T-Tech Limited.
And introducing today's moderator, Telecoms ICT Specialist, Michelle Marius.
Today's webinar is powered by Avaya and supported by Black Ink Marketing and Event Solutions Limited.
Digital Life, the webinar, Digital Tools for Success.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Michelle Marius, and we have an illustrious panel, and I'm just going to take the time to introduce them again, allow them to give you a good idea as to who they are, their role at the company, and to give us a sense as to what might be the greatest impact and the biggest learning that they have had since COVID-19. Don, we'll start with you.
Sure. My name is Don Turner. I'm a go-to-market leader for Avaya Devices, part of the senior product management team. I've been with Avaya for about 25 years, so a lot of experience in different roles and responsibilities in different sectors, but both sales and technical. And Avaya is a global leader and solutions provider, and we have a new focus around software and services to deliver those communications and create experiences that matter for our customers. The impact of COVID has really just changed everything for our customers. And so we have to change and adapt and support of those customer needs and requirements and circumstances. And I'm excited to be on this panel today and talk about the different things around workstream collaboration, around what Avaya terms a composable enterprise or composable home office environment, all digital tools for success for our customers. Thank you.
But Don, just before we move on, what has been the greatest impact and the learning that you've had since COVID-19?
I think the biggest adjustment that we've seen is people having to just take an established element or an established workflow that they're used to doing for many years and have to all of a sudden change it, literally overnight, it seemed. And how do we do that? How do we extend that? How do we get our customers the ability to contact us or, exchange information with us? How do we do that and protect their privacy and security around that information in the same time? So supporting devices that they have access to that actually are working in their environment where they're relocating to, all of that in a mixture, right? And then being able to create the next generation of work environment for them, the digital workplace that really fits the need and still allows them to be responsive and creative with their customers.
Indeed. Carol, same question. Give us a little sense about your role at Cable and Wireless Business, but more importantly, the greatest impact, be it personal or business, that COVID-19 has had on you.
Thank you so much. C&W Business is a corporate arm of Cable and Wireless. I am the Director for Enterprise Government and IT Solutions. And in that role, I lead an incredible team of people in the development of strategy and innovation for our customers, managing customer relationships and also the commercials. As a telco, we are an ICT organization. We now deliver all technology, all layers of the technology stack to our customers. And we do that to enable them to work through what is now one of the major challenges that we'll probably ever see in our lives. And we do that in ways that make technology available to every level of corporate Jamaica. In terms of the impact of COVID, personally, I just say, God has been gracious. He has been good to us. And the biggest impact there is obviously the social distancing, not being able to be with, in particular, elderly family members. That get-together time is lost. But as an organization, it was a tremendous experience to have gone through the COVID response. We basically learned a lot about our agility, how much we really do enable our society. We had to work with the ministries, with private sector to get ready to respond, to put the changes in place to continue to operate. We actually created our own emergency operations center to support the Ministry of Health. We had daily meetings with them. We had to be very, very responsive to make sure that they were able to do everything that they needed to do. We supported the Ministry of Education. So in essence, we were basically supporting everybody as everybody tried to make their way through and continue. The critical thing that we also learned was how to serve while staying safe. And so there was a lot that happened in that regard.
Oh, thank you so much, Carol. Ricardo, let's go to you.
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone, again, and welcome to this exciting digital live webinar, digital tools for success. Now, one-on-one, we've been around for the past 7 years. I'm the founder and CEO of the company, and we have a big vision, right? We have a small team, big vision, and that vision really is to revolutionize the way students learn online, and it has always been our vision. Personally, I've benefited from, learning to the extent that, I've, completing degrees and, gotten all these scholarships and so on. And what always worked for me was a personalized touch to learning. And so we created a technology company with a sole purpose of creating personalized learning spaces for people, be it a child in school or a company and their team members, so that effective learning can take place. Now, since COVID, we were one of the companies that were called into action immediately when the government announced a closure of schools. We're talking about 500,000 students being stuck at home, cannot access classes, etc. And so we had to provide our platform solution, our content that would have been already developed for the entire curriculum, to schools and to students so that they can access and stay in school. And that's what really kept us going, the fact that we were prepared. Now, on the corporate side, we had a number of companies who had to switch from in-office work to work from home. And so for those companies, we had to provide a platform solution, and they would not have had the time really to build out content in such a short time. And therefore, we had to provide over 10,000 off-the-shelf courses spanning several disciplines for these employees to continue learning remotely. And so COVID has really impacted us in many ways than one. Positively, I would say, because what has happened really is that organizations, governments, everyone really has taken quantum leaps in making that digital switch, right? So everyone is moving digital. But for that to happen effectively, given that we weren't that way before, it means that there's a strong requirement now for training and learning. We have to retrain ourselves to learn those skills that we thought we knew. And we just have to train ourselves on those new skills that we need to adapt to the new normal. And therefore, training, learning, and development is super important as we move forward, because the newness of where we will go and what we're going into will require a strong foundation, a strong system for training, thereby improving employee skills. These digital skills is what is going to be important in moving us forward. So very happy to talk today about some of these concepts and just to share in our journey and how we could inform you in making such decision as well. Effective tools for your success.
Thank you so much, Ricardo. Trevor.
Hi, how are you? Great. So my name is Trevor Forrest. I'm CEO of 876 Technology Solutions. It's a company that I founded back in 2006. The company, from its inception, was designed to be virtual. So some of the norms that people are looking at today have been our norms since 2006. We provide a wide array of products and services, including web application development, web hosting, cloud services primarily. We also provide business process analysis and intelligence. We provide data and information security services and consulting. And also we provide blockchain as a service. This is something relatively new to the market. So as it relates to how we do this through a lot of partnerships that we have. We have partnerships with, companies like IBM, Red Hat, Fortinet, F5, Global Sign, a number of major companies that allow us to deliver these services in a reliable and secure way to our clients. As it relates to COVID, as I said before, the nature and the model of HM6 solutions itself didn't change because we're already operating in the virtual space. We were a remote company, so that didn't impact us in the way that it may have impacted other businesses. From a business standpoint, however, what we found is that with the advent of remote work and the attendant concerns with that, data security, applications that are required now to more efficiently function in a remote way. We found that, the whole idea of companies now taking digital transformation seriously has come to the forefront, and we've seen a lot more engagements from our clients to guide them in that way. So pretty much, I think what COVID has been is perhaps the most effective CIO, because it has gotten so many companies to simply rethink how they are going about doing things. So I think that's really, the major impact that we've seen that COVID has brought to the way things are today.
Excellent. And Maurice, let's hear from you, please.
Hi, thank you, Michelle. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Maurice Barnes. I am the Chief Executive Officer of VM Innovations Limited. VM Innovations, a brand new subsidiary of the Victoria Mutual Group, whose mandate is to innovate new business and look at new business models as part of the group's digital transformation strategy. VM Innovations will be developing innovative, disruptive products and services for the VM Group, as well as the financial and property services industry, both in Jamaica as well as in the Caribbean region. So in other words, VM Innovations is all about securing the future. It has indeed been a most challenging time. But at the same time, as Trevor would have alluded to, it's also an exciting and opportune time, having endured over 1 year of the worst pandemic to have hit the world in almost 100 years. The VM Group, as most persons would know, providers of financial and some non-financial products and services, for transforming lives, providing financial independence for the team members, its members and clients. We have over 850 employees across Jamaica, the US, UK, and even in Trinidad. So if you look at it, on one hand, we have all been separated by social and physical distance. But yet still, on the other hand, we have been now able to bring together even more persons virtually closer, and through the use of digital technology. And the place that we are at today is actually somewhere where us as technologists and innovators have long been predicting and pushing for. So the reality, the world is really and truly, as we knew it 1 year ago, will never be the same. The VM Group, we actually had approved a remote work policy 2 years before COVID-19, before the COVID-19 pandemic. So we were more or less well positioned in terms of infrastructure and systems that we would be putting in place, as well as the culture, which is very, very important in order to make that smooth transition as more and more persons now would start working from home. So as this took effect, the other aspect that we'd have to look at is how it is that, we improve our security infrastructure, because now we're moving from a space where we had more or less control within our boundaries, within the offices in terms of security protocols. We had to now look at how we could extend this remotely and have it distributed. And in doing so, we also increased our, monitoring of our key systems. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really thrilled to be a part of this digital live webinar, Digital Tools for Success. And I'm more than happy to sort of share our experiences going through this pandemic and some of the tools and techniques which we have utilized in order to remain a viable company. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Maurice. And last but definitely not least, Chris, let's hear from you.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks to the Jamaica Observer for putting on this webinar. This digital life. Yes, we have crossed the chasm a while, and we are in this new digital era, stepping into Jamaica as a digital society, going forward in the 21st century and beyond. TTEC Limited has been in existence for 15 years. December 1 this year, it will be 15 years old officially. And our founder, Telly Alexander, former CIO for Grace Kennedy Limited, saw an opportunity where he realized that a number of organizations just did not have the requisite skills internally to manage their entire IT infrastructure. And so he created this organization to do just that. So right now we stand just around 50 strong, and we are foremost and what the North American market calls an MSP, and managed service provider. And by using those terms, what it is, and the whole idea and concept of it is that, hey, instead of you investing and building out your own IT team, you may have one or two persons, but you don't have everyone that you need. We can supplement and support your team. So pretty much in a nutshell, that's what TTEC does. We do have a range of skills around a number of areas, one being IT security. We provide IT security services for a number of our customers, and majority of our customers have long-term contracts with us. TTEC is 15 years old. We actually have customers that's been with us for 15 years. So that's a testament to our service and service levels. And so voice services, communication, collaboration services are also using Microsoft tools and other tools. We help organizations implement and provide those solutions also. Managing network, managing server infrastructure, managing Microsoft infrastructure. Those are the things that we help our customers do so they can focus on doing the value added stuff, some of the stuff that Maurice is talking about with respect to delivering value for their customers. So we are the guys in the background that's keeping the lights on. We're the persons that also interface with folks like Carol's team at Flow and the CW business customers to make sure that those solutions that are being delivered are realized by the customer and they get the value that they hope to derive from it. So in a nutshell, that's TTEC. And I've been in the industry for the last time I counted was around 33, 34 years. Been a founder of several IT companies and, sold my interest and moved to the US, learned a little bit there, moved back to Jamaica. Again, as an entrepreneur, you always have 500 ideas by breakfast every morning. And so, it's to find team members and partners to help you to flesh out these ideas and ensure that you're choosing the right one to invest in. So we're here again and willing to support, happy that that Digital Life webinar #1 is on the way.
Thank you so much. And just piggybacking off of something Maurice had said, where everybody, I think, wanted things to go back to normal. They know that things will never be the same. I just wanted to get a sense, probably from Carol first, and maybe Ricardo next. What are you hearing from your customers in terms of maybe some of their concerns, some of their fears? What is top of mind for them these days?
Thanks for the question. You're absolutely right. Everything has changed. It will never be the same again. And we know that even before COVID, change was constant. We said it was the only thing that was permanent. But now we really understand that. And so a lot of adjustments have had to be made. And a lot of those adjustments have had to change from the beginning of this time last year till now. What the feedback we're getting, customers are concerned about not the productivity, but the individual users are concerned about the time that they're spending at work. There's still a struggle to do that work-life balance, spending a lot of time in meetings, back-to-back meetings, the hours are longer. And, that's a journey that most persons will take as they learn how to do that balance. Of course, the matter of working alongside your children in the other room, learning their material in school is also a challenge, because there's an additional, you now become that supervisor of the children as well in that context. From another perspective, the work from home presents concerns or challenges for some corporate entities as they consider this matter of how do I manage productivity? How do I make sure that my team is really working and giving me the 8 hours? And in those things, we encourage it's a good opportunity to move away from that thing about leadership versus management, and empower our teams and accountability. And I'm happy Maurice spoke about the journey that VN has been on in terms of going, to a remote worker environment, and Cable & Wireless has been doing the same thing as well. And we can look back and see how we transitioned again culturally to an organization that is accountable, that does make persons empowered and enables them to make off-the-cuff decisions. But also that starts with education, expanding the knowledge about our business. We are constantly sharing information about the business, about the organization, so that it enables people to make wise decisions. And then we are always moving forward to building and learning. The cliches now are that there's no such thing as a mistake. Everything that goes wrong is an opportunity. It's something learned that we can capitalize on. And so in the workplace, the other matters of, I couldn't sit here and not talk about connectivity. And so that is the other thing that persons will speak about. Happy to say that we've always had our KPIs in terms of network performance and how much headroom we have in our bandwidth. But we have responded. There was rapid growth in our network usage at the end of 2019. And then when we hit 2020, it catapulted beyond belief. But we have responded and we have grown the network capacity. And I know that those things are definitely looking, better. People are having a great experience in that regard. We also have done a lot of things in this dispensation in creating data plans that make persons able to use the services as in a more economical way. Even in the education scenario, we have done packages that provide more data. And these are things that we've done off the cuff, just in response, just being agile and keeping the society moving forward with all the challenges. So data plans have been created specifically for schools, for students, for teachers. Packages have been created so that organizations like VM can have their customers use their online services without using up their data. So we have what we call sponsored data solutions that are available to corporate entities for that purpose. And they've been deployed in the field and are actually working very well. So we've given more attention to digital life in response to these concerns. How we manage this internally, again, we do a lot more people engagement, and we did a lot before. Don't get me wrong, we're doing a lot more now to make sure that persons remain engaged, remain knowledgeable, how to manage electricity usage, how to manage their time, how to manage finances, how to save, how to be secure, not just cyber secure, but also physically secure. And the more we take care of the things that may weigh on the minds of the teams that we work with. It's the more we get the increase in productivity, the strength comes in the decision making, and then the assimilation of the tools. I'm going to talk about some of the tools later on. But it's a holistic approach we talked about culturally that we have to take. Our drive now is to support corporate Jamaica. We did a lot also in moving even the BPO business into remote working scenario, because that was, as we all know, was heavily hit early on. And we did a great job in helping all of those businesses get to that stage in a secure way with good connectivity. We'll talk a little bit more later down about our DWF product and how we achieve that and how that will help everybody else. But we have garnered a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge in what is required to support the digital worker. So I know we'll get into more, but in summary and at a high level, that's the feedback that we're getting. And these are some of the ways that CNW is leveraging the technology and the cultural challenges, the personal engagement space in order to help our customers from having done it ourselves.
So Ricardo, I guess your customer base is quite diverse, ministries, but also the students directly. So what are you hearing from your customers these days?
So first of all, I was just, out and about yesterday playing a little football with a youngster, and I asked him, how is online school going? And he says, much better than last year. And I said, what do you mean? He says, well, his teachers now know how to use the technology, and so I can learn better now, right? The truth is, nobody expected COVID, right? And not us, the providers, and not the clients. And so when it happened, there was a transformation that had to take place initially quickly. So the initial thought was customers were saying, do this right now to get us going. The minimum viable way or approach to getting it done. Schools were jumping onto learning management platforms like the one-on-one provides, and they were jumping into classes, not knowing too much about the technology and how to use it, etc. But since then, what we've seen is a number of governments have sought to more or less lay the foundational elements, knowing that going forward, this is going to be the new normal. So no longer will I have a short-term solution to just providing an online learning platform for you to learn online, but I am going to start making the investment in putting the infrastructure in place to support an education which will see some students coming to school and some students not coming to school. We have Bahamas, for example, where we managed to onboard 50,000 students to learn online and about 2,000 teachers to learn online, and all the schools and all the governments. But the approach we took there was a little different in that we did not do a short-term solution. It was all about what do we do now? We gave them a 3-year plan to essentially revolutionizing their entire school system. And we have now sought to implement one step at a time that solution for them to move online. For companies, what we saw was initially many employers, they wanted to train their team members online. They did not have the time to really sit down and create content. And so they came to one-on-one and they asked a simple question. One-on-one, how quickly could you give us our corporate learning management platform? And do you have any courses available? And our answer was yes. So we were able to give them over 10,000 courses so that they could offer up to their team members for one low monthly price. And they used that to get started. But since then, companies themselves have been investing now in their own training. So these PDFs and PowerPoints, they're now transforming online. So, that's kind of the transition that has taken place, and we do expect this to continue.
So much for that, Ricardo. And I think I'm going to pivot a little bit and focus on security, privacy, some of those points. And we'll probably start with Maurice. And if you can give us a sense as to how VMBS, yes, you're part of VM Innovation, but you may have some insight into how the company has been addressing the privacy and data security concerns of its customers.
Right. Yes, and absolutely. So as I would have mentioned earlier, trying to move most of your systems online certainly is going to, cause your systems to be more exposed. So, VM has really put in quite a number of robust information security systems, and we have policies and procedures in place, which are actually regularly reviewed and updated due to the change in landscape, certainly as the threat of cybersecurity, etc. Privacy is of paramount importance to us, certainly in terms of securing persons' personal information. We're always constantly on an upgrade path, trying to enhance security. We have beefed up, in terms of human resource capacity as well, and also we're sticking to international best practices. So you are quite correct, and we are moving more and more of our systems online, as it is right now.
Sorry, it looks as if your image is stuck. I'm not sure if. Okay, well, while we wait for Maurice to sort out his While we wait until Maurice sorts out his communication, I would just jump to Chris. I mean, since you work as an MSP, TTEC works as an MSP, I'm sure that privacy and security concerns would be one of the top of mind issues for your customers. Can you give us a sense as to how those have been managed since last year? Chris, we're not hearing you. You might still be on mute.
Sorry, Michelle, I need to buy drinks for everybody for that now. So two things have happened. You mentioned privacy. So data protection and privacy, as you know, Jamaica recently passed into law the DPA Act 2020. And that has now made it law that companies have to provide technical measures and organizational measures around providing privacy for any personal data that they process. And TTEC has partnered with an organization by the name of Design Privacy to roll out a range of services called, well, we just loosely call it data protection as a service, but there's specific services around IT data compliance as it relates to the technical measures. And then there are the DPO services, so data protection officer services, that Design Privacy goes in and does assessments, gap analysis to check within an organization to find out where you are storing personal data, how you are handling personal private data, which part of the organization touches it, which part sees it. So that is to give folks a comfort that, look, there is a process in place, we can handle and we are managing your private data. As it relates to IT security in general, which is another component, which are where well, I guess we'd call it the technical measures. TTEC has been doing that for a number of, a lot of our customers for many, many years, where we go in and provide end-to-end IT security, all the way from helping them with awareness training, putting in whitelist systems, putting in access control systems, doing all sorts of malware protection, and just running and managing all of these for the customers so they don't have to worry about it. Yes, they have a part to play, because as we have recognized, learned, and understood that, hey, the human being, that person is the weakest link with all of this, because that person sadly will see something, click on it, and then all hell breaks loose. So, we've been doing a fair amount of work around that. And it's just continuous repetition. We've been on the pulpit talking about the importance of IT security for many, many years. But now there's a law in the country that, says to businesses that you must put in measures to protect against this, and we're working on it. One of the things that you asked earlier about, how this has affected a lot of us is that none of us had a plan for this. As much as people had a DR plan and all of this, in one of I do a lot of presentations around town talking about lessons learned from the pandemic, and there's a slide that I have with Mike Tyson punching an opponent in his mouth, and I say everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. And this pandemic punched us in the face, and we realized that a lot of us, the plans that we thought we had, did not work. Another big lesson we learned is that there's a lot we can actually do from home. I think, I don't know how many of us here, but I'm at home, but with the technology, you can make everything look look like anywhere else. So it's massively important that we understand and adapt very quickly. And we need to be a little bit more, some organizations, they take a very long time to make the decisions, as practitioners like all of us here go in and make recommendations. They have to have committee meetings to make decisions. Look, everything has now changed. And a lot of the rules and regulations and processes that you think you had, all of that is now out the window. We had 1 whole year of learning, well, 3/4 year, from March until now of learning from it, 1 whole year of experience in it. And so this is, these are some of the learnings that we're sharing with everyone here, some of the tools that we're sharing with everyone here on how to. So I think again, I think this is a good thing, and thank you guys for doing this.
Indeed, yes. It has been, as you rightfully said, I mean, that image with Mike Tyson punching an opponent, I think it just gives you just the impact that COVID-19 has had for so many of us over the past year. But Don, we have a question from the audience, someone, Rondell, and basically, I think it's one of those big challenges. And the question is, how do you suggest we do life insurance sales during the pandemic? Our traditional face-to-face meeting is more challenged. People like the personal touch. How do you think we might be able to leverage some digital tools?
It's all about creating that experience and trying to duplicate or replicate that. And you think in the healthcare environment, it's a different vertical, but patient care is a very physical thing. But now we have to move more and more to virtual care, right? Just for protection of our patients, protection of our care staff and care teams. So adapting and adopting those types of technologies to be able to create just as a personal relationship or a personal engagement with that customer to make sure that they're getting what they need, right? But also to be able to pull in and have all the same delivery and tools available to us, even though we're not in a physical office. And that's a challenge, right? And I think Maurice talked about a little bit where, there's elements and tools that are put in place that we're used to using, and now creating an ability to extend that. And Chris talked about how, we need to be able to secure and get that information out to those people so they can be productive with it. Ricardo talked about how, even if the materials are available and we give people the tools, sometimes they don't know how to use them correctly, right? So there's a learning curve there as well. So I think bringing all that together is what we try to do and collaborate the work streams in the new digital environment, right? Take all the app capabilities, the enterprise tools, the other things, connect and glue them all together and compose them into a new environment space that everyone benefits from. That personal experience can be just as personal with effective video production tools and conferencing capabilities. I can have a more meaningful exchange with you, right? Because I now have time to spend with you on a virtual call that I may not have time to spend with you in an office when I've got 6 other people waiting to see me in the foyer, right? So I think it's a change, it's an adjustment, it's hard on everyone, but I think at the end we're going to find the bright spots. I think at the end the whole world is going to see, yes, there were challenges, but wow, there are such bright spots that we've done. We've innovated, we've taken care of things, we adjusted, we overcame. And I think the bright spots are going to outweigh the whole blight of the pandemic across the world if we can just gravitate to them, right? Really focus on the bright spots that we can deliver and creating those experiences to our customers.
Indeed. Trevor, let me hear from you on the same question. Someone else is just probably asking it. The initial question focused on life insurance, but generally, does insurance, even motor vehicle insurance, how do you think we might be able to give some solutions for an industry that probably for so long has been primarily face-to-face and the agents pounding the pavement to see who might be willing to accept the services that they're offering?
Right. So, COVID has forced us to look at entirely new ways of engagement, whether it be through video conferencing more with things like Zoom and Teams and WebEx, but also it represents a paradigm shift in how business has to be done. Because again, you can't go in person all the time. Now that creates a number of challenges when you have to do business with people in that way, because it assumes that you have one connectivity in order to engage. Depending on the kind of engagement that you have, you may have to have what's called secure connectivity. But also, one of the things that many companies, especially in the insurance and the financial space, have to look at is how do they take their entire business process or model and put it in a digital space entirely, put it online so that people can now engage with them in an entirely digital way. And in order to do that, you have to look at a new set of technologies, right? You're looking now at e-commerce. You're looking at, increased security, cybersecurity type products. You're talking about secure communications products, which I'm sure Dan can get into more how secure communications with Avaya solutions go on. But you also now have to look at secure transactions using technologies like blockchain, because one of the things we need to be able to do when working in an entirely digital realm is to create a trusted environment that really mimics what happens in person. So what we have to look at now is, okay, how do we properly create that kind of environment so that when I need to engage, the experience seems personal, but not only the experience, but the transactions that are occurring are personal. So e-commerce platforms, blockchain-based transaction platforms, secure communications platforms are very important for us for businesses to be able to provide that kind of engagement in a trusted way, because at the end of the day, people must trust the engagement modality that you're using so that they feel more comfortable about engaging with you.
So true. And I think certainly people across all industries, and especially those that probably traditionally have been considered, high touch, that either you really have to be in person or there was a considerable reliance on the in-person contact within to develop that relationship and so on. Because I think as much as, the sale and the quality of the, let's say, for example, the insurance policy is important, it's also the rapport that develops between the customer and the agent, and finding ways and means to somewhat replicate that online or in some sort of digital modality, I think is really where the challenge lies. Ricardo, we have a question from our audience to you, and I think they're just been so excited that you're on. And their question has to do with, do you have solutions for those professionals who want to take courses online?
Yeah, look, absolutely. So, we have been providing companies with our, award-winning learning management platform for them to train their team members in a very efficient way. Gone are the days where employees are sitting down in 1 hour training sessions or 2 days. They simply don't have the time. And so the training has to be bite-sized, and it has to cater to the modern day learner. Who is the modern day learner? They're impatient, they're distracted, because they have so many options that are online. And how do you get their attention and to make training effective? How do you train better? And so we have provided companies with our platform, but not only that, we're now giving them a library of content from places like Microsoft, all of these courses from Amazon, anywhere, all your favorite accredited courses in one platform for various industries, be it that tourism, agriculture, is it you're in tech? Do you just simply need to know how to use QuickBooks? Do you simply need to know how to lead digital transformation in your company? Anything you want to learn, companies can simply take that solution and start training their team members. Now, while off-the-shelf content is great, it's always nice to build out your culturally relevant content for your organization. And so we are actively working with organizations now to build out their own training. So they give us the PDFs and the PowerPoints and those legacy stuff, and we take them and we literally just transform them into fun and engaging content that team members will simply love, that they can take in 5 minutes or less. So absolutely. We're actually working on rolling out a solution that allows any profession now in Jamaica to take their accredited courses online from any of the regional universities as well. We believe that training is important in leading this transformation that is happening right before our eyes. And so our purpose, our tool that we're providing, obviously, in a digital environment is to train the people to adapt to the new way of learning wherever you are, whatever you do. We want to give something for you.
Thanks so much for that, Ricardo. And I guess I hope, is there any sort of link or specific platform that they could go to outside of one-on-one? I'm just checking whether or not you have branded your professional services differently from the academics.
So no, you just simply go to oneononelms.com and you can pretty much request a demo, and we are providing free demos for companies, small businesses who simply wants to train. Small businesses are being asked to pay their taxes online now, use accounting software online now, and they need training for that. You're a small business, you're listening to this. What digital tools you need? Well, any tools you need, you will need to get trained on, okay? And we're saying that that's a key part, that's a key tool. So go to oneononelms.com and you'll be able to see all the various things that can help you to really get there.
Thanks again. So Chris, we have another question from our audience. And this is actually in the manufacturing. And the question is, what can organizations in manufacturing and distribution do to continue production, given social distancing, work from home opportunities, and teams of people being away from the factory if someone becomes sick? These organizations are used to people on the factory floor.
It's an excellent question, and I'm smiling because I'm wondering that was planted there by my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law happens to be the former president of the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association. And so we were talking about this very topic yesterday evening. And the discussion was around me continuously talking about digital transformation and making some commentary on Minister Clark's announcement just recently about his funding and additional support for helping to digitize organizations, and also talking about this new central bank digital currency. But that's for another discussion. The argument was around, well, I am a manufacturer. My work happens right here. I can't digitize that and take that home. I can't, just like, you're a knowledge worker, you can now stay home and do most of your work from home. I have all of my meetings here now at home. And so my discussion with him was, I said, okay, here's what I think is possible. Within an organization that's a manufacturer, there are a range of services within that organization that are office-based components of that. So all the HR and admin and all that type of stuff, I believe all that stuff, although all of those processes can be digitized. I mean, I had a whole list of things the other day. I did a presentation recently with PSOJ, and we're talking about, I said, look, if you're still cutting invoices, digitize that. If you're still receiving certain goods manually, digitize that process. If you have to, within your organization, apply for vacation, digitize that. So all of that soft stuff can be digitized. In terms of manufacturing, there are a wide range of technologies going forward. And look, and I'm not going to be telling anybody here in Jamaica that it's easy to make that jump into robotics and into any sort of remote type of doing work, because it exists right now, but it's a massive investment. And, innovation folks like Maurice could probably give you some idea of in the background of what abilities exist out there in the market around technologies and tools that folks can actually operate remotely. But at the end of the day, a regular factory still has to go through the process of the social distancing and the mask wearing and all the protocols to keep them afloat and keep them active. We support several manufacturing organizations. VT Tech supports several manufacturing organizations, as I said, for all the IT-related components. So we have taken that off of their hands. They don't need to worry about that anymore. There is an IT person inside that coordinates with us. They manage us and our relationship. They make sure that we're meeting SLAs and kind of ponging us over the head whenever certain jobs that are supposed to be finished in a certain time is not finished. But the rest of the manufacturing floor will happen as normal. It's just everything that supports the manufacturing floor that can be digitized that should get digitized. I don't think there's any silver bullet with that situation. I don't think there's any one size fit all. And I think the type of environment and the type of manufacturing product will make a difference depending on actually what their business outcome needs are.
Indeed. Don, do you have anything else to add? And I guess manufacturing and distribution was the other element of the question. And of course, those trying to keep production, especially, what would have been the the traditional sort of approach where a lot of activity is happening on some sort of factory floor. So any thoughts about that?
I think overall, there's still some elements that are going to have to be physically addressed. Right. And there's certain functions that just have to be. And then like Chris was saying, we just have to take care and caution to put the protection mechanisms in place and the policies in place to protect people. But there are also some things that happen in that environment that could be more distanced and virtual. And so Avaya, we have a lot of different, like I say, composable solutions where we can apply different technologies from different places and connect things together to let people do that, right? And then really it's about creating an experience that makes that effortless, that makes it personalized, that keeps the intelligence in the conversation, right? It doesn't dumb it down, if you were, and then consistent. The same way that we were doing things before, we should be able to do in the new environment, or even better, do more in the new environment. So being able to take a workplace environment, a digital workplace, and be able to extend those things and make things. For example, my environment, I do a lot more in my current home-based environment than I was able to do when I was working in an office environment. Now, there were things in the office environment that I had to be able to do because of the systems and tools and equipment and things like that, laboratories and things like that, where we would work on equipment. And that's different. But there's a lot more people I can reach in this new evolved digital workplace. There's a lot more tools available to me to be able to collaborate with people all over the world. Here we are doing this. And, it's really connecting with the people in a way that they can really consume what we have, that we're protecting what they have, that we're leveraging what they have. We're extending it to new devices that they didn't have the ability to use in that environment before, right? And we're making those experiences basically the same or even better, even on new and mobile devices. So really just the overall shift, but when you shift, you can't compromise. I think that's what we've been saying kind of all morning here. We can shift and we can adjust, but we shouldn't be compromising. We should be getting better, not just moving the same workflows into a new environment. If we're going to have to change anyway, let's change it for the better. And Avaya wants to do that through our different cloud services, through our devices, even things like this conference that we're doing here, right? My Avaya devices, my high-end camera, my headset makes that experience better, right? I mean, it's an experience, but it makes it better when I sound better, when I look better, when I can collaborate better with people.
Yes. And just jumping off a point that Don was making about, I guess, how powerful the tools are, but I think within the work from home construct, we have a situation where employees are more empowered or ought to be more empowered. Oftentimes, they have to execute their duties, but they may not necessarily be the supervisor, directly in the cubicle next door or just a few paces down from their office to whom they can go to confer on a matter. So there's a certain amount of empowerment that I think has come out of the the new paradigm. But Carol, how would you, how has cable and wireless, in your opinion, and maybe talking through with some of your clients, manage the decision paths that may need to be established to ensure that employees can work with, with the authority that they need and feel sufficiently empowered, but ultimately to be able to make good decisions on behalf of the companies that they represent? And if we can hear from Don there, from Maurice thereafter.
Okay, so thanks. In the previous discussion about this transition to work from home, I spoke a bit about empowerment and the cultural changes that need to occur, the ability to focus on building strong leaders and equipping our teams with leadership skills. That's going to be essential. And then the method of encouraging and managing accountability. Empowering team members isn't just saying you can now do this, but actually leading them in a way that demonstrates how to do things, how to take decisions. And also we move very much away from the more punitive methods of correcting errors and more coaching and feedback rather than what we've been accustomed to in the past. I also want to segue into how technology supports that. So Cable and Wireless has for a long time been the provider of technology, digital technologies. Everybody knows us as voice and data, but certainly, and particularly in the enterprise space, and even more recently now in the SMB segment of our business space, we are constantly now looking at not only delivering the connectivity so that the conversations can happen and the collaboration can happen. We partner with people like Avaya on the international stage and all the other major brand names and world-class technologies that you're accustomed to. And we will partner with local entities such as Ricardo in our flow study products and some innovations that we're working on in the education space together even now. But central to all of that is access. It's getting people together. It is facilitating the conversations. And making sure that the collaborative tools are used effectively and efficiently and consistently and that they're reliable. One of the challenges that we also heard of was we talked about security. How do we secure our environment? How do we be confident that our persons, when working remotely, are doing so in a secure fashion and according to policy, which we've discussed also under the new DPA. And as we have learned our lessons and as we provide technology, deliver wide-scale technology to our customers, we use all of the technologies and we provide that consulting approach back to our clients. Coming out of that, we are able now to deliver more services than just the connectivity, but we're giving value to the connectivity through the managed services that we deliver. Started with giving customers just access to data center level resources so that they can function at the level of enterprise competitors at affordable pricing, to providing the security with which to do that or in which to do that, and also leveraging, as we said, the communication and the collaboration tools. Now, coming out of the pandemic, we started working slightly before on a remote worker solution. We're calling it DWF, or distributed workforce. And what that allows us to do is have employees, have team members work at home and receive the quality of service, the class of connectivity, the class of that bubble that you work in that equates to what you've been accustomed to at home. So now we're doing a dedicated service as a business class service into the home with the security wrapper around it, with the monitoring tools and all of the services that your IT team is used to accomplishing or delivering within the organization. Now we're being able to extend that to the home. What that does is it also helps leadership feel more comfortable, that the operations and the performance levels are being maintained, the responsiveness is going to be maintained, so your customer experience remains where you want it to be. And given that, again, that burden, that concern is removed, it's another one of those elements that gives way to the team member being able to be more open, to think, become that knowledge worker that we spoke about, be creative, be innovative, and be agile. So we're basically leveraging in a consulting type of way our experience in the people side and twinning that with our experience in the technology side as we deliver all of the IT services on top of our connectivity that give you that performing, secure environment. That is also going to provide you, deliver to you within the framework of the data protection, even as we consult on those services as well.
Thanks. Maurice, I just wanted to change your question a little bit. We have some interesting thoughts coming through from the audience, and one, Nayan asked an interesting question. Which has proven to be more effective in the work from home paradigm, employee empowerment or employee engagement?
Okay, so let me look at that. I just want to just share something with you. The remote work that we have implemented, approximately between 35 and 40% of the team has been working remotely over the past year, and we have actually peaked in at 40%. What I can say is that the work from home is actually working for VMBS because we have the results to show for it. We talk about employee engagement. We have sort of created a virtual space as far as engagement is concerned. So we've had virtual award ceremony, virtual pop-up concerts, virtual comedy shows, health and wellness webinars, financial planning webinar series, which has now started to engage our employees at a different level, even a little bit better than before. So, you know, some of these functions, you would have had to find a location, you know, where you would have to sort of bring everybody together in this crowded place. Now you can actually reach out to each and every team member online virtually, even across across the different countries in which VM operates. So for that perspective, you know, with the use of the technology, etc., and the collaboration tools that are actually in use, we are now even better able to engage team members in ways you wouldn't even have thought about before. And just to give you, so coming out of last year in 2020, during the pandemic, the VM Group, we've actually recorded a high mortgage growth rate. Overall loan growth portfolio has risen. Over 58% growth in our remittance volumes and 126% growth in digital remittance transactions. So what this is showing is that even though, you know, with the pandemic and certainly with the use as we increase and improve on our digitalization, moving services and products online, it is actually reaping the benefits. And this really speaks to the productivity of the team members, even within this pandemic, and the fact that they're working from home. There's a paradigm shift, and Carl would have spoken about it in terms of management versus leadership. And it's really about now leadership, I think, is very, very important in a time of a pandemic where you can now empower your employees, allow them to trust you in terms of getting the work done. And as I said, the results are clear, and it shows. And it's not just for VM. A number of other organizations have actually reported, record profits and growth even during this pandemic. So it's really about trying to embrace a new reality, utilize the proper and most relevant collaboration and online tools, continue to engage your staff and your employees, your team members, as well as your customers in new and innovative ways. So, for example, utilizing electronic channels, whether it's through email, whether it's through web portals, through text messaging, etc. And this will sort of ensure that you're prepared to sort of move into the next century and the next generation.
Thank you so much for that, Maurice. And unfortunately, we're going to be drawing this webinar to a close shortly. There are still some very probing questions in the chat, and I'm going to ensure that they are relayed to our panelists because some of them were quite personal and specific to their situation, and I think that it may be better for those to be offered online. But as we close, just thank you so much for joining us, and I'm just going to invite the panel individually just for maybe 1 or 2 minutes to share with us, just some of their final thoughts about the lessons that they've learned from this whole transition. And well, I think certainly over the past year, we have just had to really embrace the mind shift that has been required to navigate our way through this pandemic. So I'd just love to have some final thoughts, and we'll just start with Don first and hear what his thoughts are on the experience to date and living one's digital life.
Sure. So like I said in the opening, one of the things with Avaya and trying to provide innovation and solutions during this, some of our platform as a service, what we call CPaaS, lets customers go in and develop applications and different workflows. We have some for COVID vaccine tracking, contact tracing. We've got some that change the way retail businesses did their business through curbside pickup, right? All the curbside service and delivery that people had to implement literally at the moment's notice was driven by our CPaaS solution and literally delivered within days from thought to production. So being able to implement quickly, being able to keep that employee engaged, like Maurice was talking about. Just as a shameless plug, we have our Avaya Vantage 3 device, which is basically it's a multimedia video audio device. It's a phone. It can do all of my meeting experiences. It manages my calendar. I could join different applications. It's Android based. This just got a TMC 2021 Customer Product of the Year award. I mean, I just got the email while we were discussing this seminar. So Avaya is innovating in areas to try to help our customers move forward and to be productive and to get employees the empowerment that they need and the tools that they need to be successful.
Let's hear from you, please. Oh, we're not hearing you, Carol.
Oh, I didn't hear who you were asking to contribute, so thanks very much. I would say that a couple of things. I think the most important things as we go forward, we spoke about change, and as I said, this is a bit cliche, but it still remains fact. Change is the constant. I encourage persons, don't be afraid of change. Embrace it as an opportunity to create and to think and to continue to move forward in new and differentiated ways. One of the strengths and one of the things I love about my organization and the role is exactly the experiences that we go after. We want to be involved in your experiences, and that's why we go through the technologies, we go through the people experiences, so that we can provide a true consultancy. The power of our future is in our collaboration, and we maintain close relationships with our world-class partners, as I said before, like Avaya, Fortinet, Cisco, all of the brands that we know are out there. I've always said what's really important is how we leverage those technologies, how we put them to work for us. So let's have the conversations. Let's keep the conversations going. We're giving you now a new method of connecting business class in the home, so that when we collaborate with Don, when we collaborate with Ricardo, Christopher, Maurice, and Trevor, and come up with solutions to improve your experiences across industries, across segments, no matter how large or small we are, we can provide you with that managed service that you can use to go forward, not worrying about heavy cost investments. So let's get the conversation going.
Thanks, Carol. Ricardo, what have been some of the lessons and the impact of the digital life?
Well, I tell you something, right? A CFO once said, what if we trained our employees and they leave? The CEO responded, what if they don't and they stay? The truth is, we are living in a world now, especially in Jamaica, where we're lagging behind in training. But that cannot continue. We have less than about 25% of our population, workforce population, who's had a tertiary education, an education beyond the secondary school level. That cannot continue. Even more so as we are now faced with still a pandemic where the world is going to change. And I believe that has brought everybody on a level playing field because everyone has to learn and adapt and move forward. So now more than ever, one of the biggest learnings that we have found is that the ones who have versus the ones who have not invested in training, tools to allow your team members to actually survive in this environment, to get them up, to empower them, that sort of thing. What we found is those companies are doing far greater than those who are not. And so with that learning, we're encouraging as many companies as possible, get an online platform, get training going, these collaboration tools that they need to use that is going to make you more productive. We talk about Avaya and all the other solutions online. These are the tools that's going to make you more productive, but they have to know how to use it. And so training is very important, and certainly one-on-one, we're very happy that we can provide such a solution and assist in moving that needle and moving us forward. Very happy to have presented today. Looking forward to more of these webinars as we just share our individual experiences. And just a final point, this whole thing about security and all of that, in learning, that's also there because many companies don't want to transform learning online because they're scared that their data will go out. So we have to continue from our end, collaborating, Trevor, all the data security experts and so on. How can we protect such companies from loss of information if they were to move online? Because we have to remove that fear to take that opportunity on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ricardo. Trevor, let's hear from you.
Well, listen, I'm going to take this from two perspectives, the personal one and the business one. From a personal standpoint, I'm a fierce technologist, no question about it. But one of the things that we have to be mindful of is not to let the technology overtake our life, all right? We still have to maintain the personal interaction and engagement as much as possible. And we don't want to make the technology the substitution for that. So, a lot of times we get up and the first thing we grab is the cell phone to start bringing ourselves up to date. We need to be mindful of that. And in doing so, when we're looking at remote work, one of the things I tell a lot of my colleagues is when you transition from working in the office to working remotely, you have to learn to work remotely. It took me about 2 years to do that because it is a mental shift and it is a serious effect that it can have on you and how you function. From the standpoint of business, digital literacy is going to be important. And this is important nationally and globally. So it's important for us to upskill our employees and so on. But it is also important for businesses to assess what they're going to need to make this stuff happen in the new dispensation. And that is the kind of stuff that we do, 876 and T-Tech, we collaborate a lot on helping clients determine what they need to digitally transform. So whether it is that you need to look at ERP solutions or more efficient ways of email, more efficient ways of securing your environment. These are some of the things that, as service providers, we help our clients to do. Because a lot of times, if you don't do it the right way at the get-go, you end up spending more than you ought to have. So we urge clients to reach out, to us, 876 Solutions, T-Tech, Cable and Wireless, Avaya, to help them to assess their needs so that they make the right decisions when they're moving into this new dispensation.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
I was really happy to be part of this discussion. I think, Observer is doing a great thing with digital life and looking forward to more of these.
Thanks, Trevor. And that point about one has to learn to work from home, I mean, when you said it, it just struck me. So it's something I hope even that the Jamaica Observer will take on board and probably do a webinar on some of the tools that persons can use. And not necessarily just digital tools, but really to help the people to really and more fully adjust into the mindset that's needed. Chris, let's hear from you.
Thank you very much. Two things I'll share, and as Don was talking, I was looking at some of the tools that he has on the Avaya, and they look massively interesting here. My organization, we help companies. So just at the beginning of the pandemic, around the March, April timeframe, a flurry of activity with our team going in to help organizations implement remote work solutions. So we had to ensure that the security, the VPN, the connectivity, whether it's Flow or the other provider, we had to ensure that all of that stuff was working properly, safely, securely. And then, of course, it's the software to run on top of that. So because we are a Microsoft shop, we implemented Microsoft Teams in a lot of organizations to help them to use it. Matter of fact, for us, I even removed from my company our management WhatsApp group, and I switched all of that to Teams instead. So it helps to unify the communication. Instead of having all of these various channels, you have one channel in everything. So using Teams, and Microsoft in the background has been implementing a tremendous amount of upgrades and capabilities even within Teams. And so as we share and help our customers adopt more of that application, there have been tremendous amount of benefits and value coming out of that. Interestingly enough, as the discussion came up earlier around employee engagement, my team has gotten very, very, very innovative and very creative. We have had a number of games night online using the Microsoft Teams technology. We have had movie night online, and the games night. I mean, these guys, I don't know where they get these ideas from, but it's fun and it's very, very engaging. And the team logs in and it's off. It's after hours, and there's Q&A and buzzer beating things and guess this song. And so we have branched out of the regular normal use case that I'm sure a lot of these applications did not think that, well, they did not design their application to be used that way, and we have been doing it. On the other side, in terms of employee engagement, not having the ability to just walk down the corridor to have a discussion with someone, poses some challenges. A couple of years ago, we made an investment in a piece of software called Office Vibe. And what Office Vibe does, it gives you that ability to get almost instant feedback from your team, anonymously or not, if they choose. And so it's something that kind of checks a pulse of your culture across 10 different factors, areas, alignment, recognition, happiness, wellness, ambassadorship. So there's a bunch of questions that is sent to the team. And so we found the Office Vibe engagement and the feedback went up tremendously in the pandemic. Yes, because folks are at home. Some thrive when they're working at home, and some do not. And so we had to ensure that we understood and that balance happened, where the folks who wanted to work from home, then we did, all while balancing the risk of who has to take public transport versus who has cars and all that, and all of that balancing act. So the feedback got more, our use of the tools and technologies got more, and the work that have been doing with customers, ensuring that for those who are helping to work remotely, safe, secure, reliable. Not everyone can afford to have 2 telco devices and load balancing at home. But we've had to try our very, very, very best to inform and educate as how to create the best experience. And so it has been very interesting. And this new normal that we're in, I think Ricardo used that term earlier, this new normal that we're in is here to stay. Yes, some of us want to go back to what was before, and some of that will happen, but work from home is going to be par for the course going forward. And the other massive thing that Carol kind of sort of alluded to, and you, Michelle, alluded to, is around our mental space, because there's a whole other set of things that are happening when you're working from home and you're in this, almost some folks isolated and some folks not. I have 2 children, my wife, everyone is working from home. Everyone is here doing their thing. And there's a whole different discussion around the soft stuff connected to that experience and the tools and technologies that we're all using, because everyone here in my house is using a different tool, different technology, but they all are traveling over the same internet. And Carol, I don't know if you did anything, but while I'm here, your president reached out to me. And yes, I need to improve my bandwidth at home so that people can hear much crystal clearer.
We'll get you on distributed workforce, Chris.
Okay, sounds good.
Excellent. And finally, Maurice, let's hear from you.
Okay, right. So just three points I want to just leave you guys with, and this is really applicable whether we are in a digital world or not. The first is agility, business agility, to be more specific. Nowadays, when we are in business, your company has to be able to sort of pivot quickly and rapidly to the changing times and environments. Because we have COVID-19 now. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So we have to ensure that, we have a business and operate a business in a way that when things change, we can change quickly and rapidly as well. The other thing is employee engagement. Carol spoke about this. And, she sort of took the words out of her mouth when I talk about keep the conversations going as you engage with your employees. Provide them with the required tools to perform their duties and their work, especially now in a time with remote work, within a pandemic, etc., where you may not be sitting right next to someone. You need to provide them with the tools and trust them to do the work and reward them when they do so. And the last is listen to your customers. Listen carefully to your customers, solicit and elicit feedback from them, and respond to their concerns. Educate them and serve them. At VM, we have been listening to our customers, and more of our products now are going online. We are actively migrating transactions, certainly from in-branch to online. Products such as money transfer, direct to account deposit transactions, as well as the VM e-loan solution by Carolyn, which does online loan applications and processing. So again, I'd like to certainly thank Observer and the Digital Life team for inviting me. I've been here just to share what we have been doing and some of the successes that we have been reaping, even in this challenging time during this COVID-19 pandemic. And it has been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maurice, and thanks so much to our panelists. And I'm just going to announce the winners of the Avaya competition. So we have first Blondell Wilson Henry, who wins an Avaya 360 camera, Sonica Jerry, a $2,000 Amazon gift card, Alicia Edward, who also wins a $200 Amazon gift card. And just note to those winners, someone from the Observer will make contact. And we have just come to the end of what I think has been a riveting conversation. We could probably have gone on for a good hour on just the questions that were raised, but all good things must come to an end. And hopefully the Observer will consider doing a part 2 at some time in the future. So thank you just once again for joining us. I'm Michelle Marius. Take care and be safe.
We all have workplace productivity apps these days. Apps for meetings, apps for team chat, apps for file sharing. But do those apps even talk to each other? And what about all the unexpected projects that show up like fire drills every day? How do your apps help with that? Have you ever thought about ditching all those apps? Because you don't need 17 apps to bring it all together. You need one. You need Avaya Spaces. Spaces offers you video conferencing, but it's way more than that. With Spaces, you can meet, chat, share files and updates, assign and manage tasks, see real-time transcriptions, and keep up with everything going on. And Spaces adapts to fit your needs. It's there to help you use everything you already have and make room for something new when you need it. So, what about ditching all those other apps? Because now it's time to use just one, Avaya Spaces.